What's going on, beautiful people of the internet? Today is Saturday, February 28th, and I've rearranged the garden again. Now, I did end up losing that Italian basil plant. As you can see, that bucket on the right is empty. And that plant lasted about 6 months, which is not bad. So, pretty proud about that. I might end up growing another basil plant directly into that bucket. So, still don't know. Still a maybe. So, as you can see, that thyme bush now needs to be pruned. Oh, here comes Astro. It needs to be pruned, and I also need to dry some out. So, I'll eventually do that. The lemon balm is looking a little wimpy compared to the other lemon balm growing in the Aero Garden Harvest Elite. That one's so robust compared to this one. And I think it's because this one actually needs more oxygen in the water. So I may end up buying a separate pump just for this one because clearly the thyme is not having any issues there with growth. Chamomile, which was struggling previously, and it still kind of is. Like, for some reason, like, monitoring this specific plant, it's been spiking constantly. And then I've also been adding some HydroGuard to the mix because it was experiencing some root rot. Luckily, I've noticed some new growth, so I'm very hopeful. I was actually going to get rid of this plant today until I looked at the roots. I'm going to give it some more time instead of being impatient. Previously, it had a nutrient burn issue, so it's recovering from that. I added way too many nutrients in the water, and that's why you see all that browning. And then over here, I actually moved the hyssop that was next to the lemon balm in this Bounty Elite with the personal mini love melon. And that thing has grown quite a lot since the last update. And the reason that I moved the hyssop is because, well, you'll see. Once you actually see the lemon balm, it has taken over the Harvest Elite. But that hyssop is doing great. It's looking healthy. So is watermelon, too. I can't wait to grow melon. I've never actually grown a melon inside, and never a personal sized one. So that'll be fun. These are the Alexandria strawberries, and I did a bit of pruning today because there's actually quite a bit of dead leaves, and I'm glad I did prune because we can really see the amount of actual strawberries in here. I'm gonna have to dedicate a video just specifically for this plant. I really want to dig my fingers in there. Hang on. So if I look around and I search through the leaves, you can see, there's some pretty large strawberries coming in. These are the Alon strawberry runners. The discoloration, or these dead leaves that you see, these are actually the first leaves, those primary leaves, when I initially cut these from that poor plant that died. But I'm very happy that we've got two. So that's a plus. Take a look at the lemon tree, you guys. This thing's doing great. If you can touch it, it's so sturdy. I think I might end up transplant this lemon into one of the Mars Hydros. You'll see, like, the other side has changed as well. Astro's really interested in that thyme bush. The calendula. Now, these are all ready for harvest pretty much, except for these that haven't opened yet, but these three are ready for harvest. I just wanted to show you before. I know they look wonky now, but it's because I let them linger a little longer than usual. But aren't they pretty? Now, this plant did have some issues. So it had some root rot issues. So what I did was I had to change the water, add more nutrients, HydroGuard. And then, if you see this hose running through, I've got 2 of them actually. And there are air stones in there. And it's hooked up to this air pump here. I also did that for this Bounty Elite, as well as this one too. I don't know, I just feel like it needs more oxygen. I mean, it's not going to, if anything, it's going to help it and not hinder it. So that's what I did here, especially with this because it was suffering so much. And then also the leaves feel pretty weak, actually. And so I'm just hoping that the added oxygen helps, and also that water change too. But the lemon balm, though, that's what I'm talking about. See? I mean, you can clearly see a difference there. So that has overtaken this unit. So that's why I had to move that hyssop way over there. And then I sadly lost one of the little bites. So I had to add 2 more air stones in there. As you can see, I've got 2 in the back. And you know what? These AeroGarden, they're so convenient because they make these little holes in the back that conveniently fit a line for an air stone. So that's nice. We've got some ripening happening here. I did have to prune this sucker. Oh, this poor plant suffered from nutrient burn and then root rot. Lost the other one. But hopefully, like I said, the added oxygen, hopefully it helps. But that's everything on this side. I've been keeping a good eye on everything, so I'm very excited about those strawberries, though. That's my favorite so far. Let's go on the other side, though. Things are a little different over here. I've got my drying rack. And then this, surprisingly, is only 1 plant. This is only 1 cherry tomato plant. It is extremely healthy. I've got a lot of little tomatoes coming in. Nice groupings. And it's tasty too. I've eaten at least 4 recently, like this week from this plant. I did have another one in here. This is actually growing in that in bloom, and it's dirty. It's dirty, but I did have a second one growing on the left, but unfortunately that one died as I moved everything, because I also had that cascading on these clothing racks. So that one died. But it didn't really have much on it anyway. This plant is so healthy. And then I've got another cherry tomato plant in here. And I'm glad I actually separated them. And I didn't like the fact that I couldn't differentiate the 2. So this is a lot better, at least for my brain. So I can visually see the 2, like the differences. So, but these are doing all right. This one's always done well. I haven't had a root rot issue just yet. I don't believe. If I'm remembering correctly, or incorrectly, you can correct me. But there's some berries right there. And then down in this let pot, I did start some. We've got some scallions over there. I've never successfully grown any scallions, so I'm really hoping that these actually take off. And then same with spinach. So this is not Japanese spinach. I tried with the Japanese spinach. I'm probably going to try again. And then look at this beauty. This is the early flame jalapeno plants, and it was so sickly before. Now look at it. It's gorgeous. I did pick off one of the peppers. It was beautiful and red, so had to cut that one. But as you can see, this plant is so healthy. It's beautiful. And I know I mentioned that in the garden, I was almost certain that these were thrips. These are actually just gnats, your standard household gnat. Very annoying. And I still see a few flying here and there, but the population has gone down significantly. That feels great. I'm not seeing all of them fly constantly, or little larvae or whatever you want to call them wiggling around my plants. The plants are now looking a lot healthier. They're not suffering from those gnats. So, hey, that's a plus. I didn't mention this, but the hyssop plant actually died. The transplant was not successful. So I think whatever I put in there next will either be started in the buckets, or it's probably going to be a plant that's extremely hardy. Like, I was thinking of eventually transplanting that lemon tree, obviously, into a bucket at some point during its growing period. I have no idea when. I feel like I want to wait until it's a little larger. But also, the space that it's in currently is very small. So I'm going to have to think about that soon. But anyway, that's the update. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you until next time.